All right. So welcome to our weight loss, wellness, health gaining, whatever you can call bootcamp. And some of you did it, just finished in January, and some of you are joining. And we have a nice amount of people from both camps, Hay Lane. And what we are wanting to do here is to promote you to your health and weight loss and wellness, and potentially also to start talking about training and getting fitter this time around. So welcome to everyone that I don't know yet. Very nice meeting you guys, and it's an honor to do this. And we have Robin joining. I want to ask this. Is there anyone on this call who didn't go through the chronometer training, who didn't set up chronometer? And most of all, didn't see that video that we posted, and that obviously will relate to Donna and Margarita and Abigail, Jim. So
I have to admit, I didn't. I got signed in, but I have not watched it. That's on my agenda for tomorrow.
Okay, so I will touch on that in that case slightly. It's looks like you're very, educated guy based on the setup. It will be a breeze. And in general, hi Robin, it's great to see that you have found us. You're on your phone, so it will be harder for the training. So I hope you can watch recording after on your computer. I'm going to share my screen for this, and for chronometer configuration, it will be really hard to see anything because it will be small. And obviously, guys who have been through this, you already know what you're doing. Now, let's talk about how this works, and let's talk about what we want to achieve in general. Andrea, do you want to talk first? Do you want to kind of give intro to, because everyone knows you too?
Actually, yeah. So sure. Most of the training tonight will be Julian's, because he's going to be monitoring you on Chronometer, which is our app, which keeps track of what you're eating. You're basically going to enter your foods and the amounts. We're going to give you ideas of how to do that, but we're going to really tailor it to what you need to eat. Julian, based on your measurements and body composition, is going to give you exact amounts to try to achieve daily of your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. And then I really like to tailor it a little, because I want you to pay attention to certain things, not just get the minimum or the maximum, but really quality is key. We want to make sure you're getting enough fiber. One of the things I noticed with my own patients and with the group is, because we're relatively low carb, people don't get the recommended at least 20 grams of fiber. And what I see when I follow up with labs, people lose weight, their blood sugar is good, but a lot of times the cholesterol is stuck, because without that fiber to bind the garbage, your toxins and your cholesterol, that's going to be a problem. So I'm re-stressing it, because I noticed it last time, and we have links, we have ideas of how to get fiber, and the macronutrient guide that we created. If you look at that, that can give you some really good ideas about how to structure your diet to understand how many grams there are in different things, so you can make choices instead of a lot of trial and error. But really focus on the color. I don't want carbs wasted on things that aren't going to add up in terms of fiber and color. And if you scroll down on your chronometer, that's what's good to look at it on the computer, not just on the phone. You can see your fiber. Julian will show you how you can just hover the mouse, and it can show you the sources of your protein, sources of your fiber. So it takes a little time to do it, but it's going to give you so much feedback and so much accountability. And we had great success. I mean, Julian will tell you more about it. And I know a lot of you, and some of you have been with me a while, and we were kind of stuck in the mud until we got to this program, and then you're killing it. In fact, Miss Biana, I saw your body composition today, and I was psyched. I got to show it to Julian. That was your birthday present. It was just her birthday, and that was the best present you could have given yourself. I mean, it was amazing. So, we're setting the bar high, because we have these people who did amazing last month, but just want to show you that there's no reason that you can't as well. So now I will turn it over to Julian, and and take it from there. Okay. And if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to ask both of us.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Adria. And I'm going to show what we do with Chronometer briefly. And before that, I do want to address something. I have still 1, 2, 3 people who didn't join Chronometer. And I know there's, for some of you, an issue which might be confusing by the app itself. When you sign up first, you go through the email and you select your username and the password. And then when you're trying to log into the app, first button it has is sign up, and it's big. So most people press on that button without reading. There's below that, there's a button that is green. It says sign in. But if you press sign up, it will tell you, well, you cannot use that email because you're already in there. And people write me back. So, hey, it tells me that I can't. So when you are logging in, make sure you're clicking sign in and not sign up. It's, I'm sure some of you encountered that. So it goes for you, Robin, and it goes for you, Margarita. I'm sure you will figure it out. If anything, I will get on the session with you and do this, but it's, if you don't remember the password, can you hear me? Weird. It just told me I was signed out. Anyway, if you don't remember the password, just reset it. Okay, so this is very important. Now, I do want, in order not to bore guys who were in the previous bootcamp, in case you need to be somewhere or anything like this, I want to go over how we're going to work in this bootcamp for better logistics, better organizations. So in case you don't have questions and you're good, you can just leave at some point. And then we're going to go over Chronometer again for the guys who just joined. But this time around, we're going to make a change. And why? If you noticed, there was a nice amount of people in the group in January, and everyone could post. So you have a question and you post, you have something to say, you post. And then what happens is that if we want to go back and find something that was useful, or you want to go back to what you were posting, sometimes if there's a lot, you will have to go back and search, and it's very hard because we sometimes had 30 posts a day. Instead, we are going to implement a structure, and I'm going to show my Facebook how it looks like. Some of you are not in Facebook group yet. So if you didn't join yet, everyone got link in the email. Please do join the group, because everything is going to be there. So I'm actually, for that purpose, going to post link to Facebook group right here in the chat. So if you're not there, please click the link now in the chat and join the group. Okay, because that will save us some time and back and forth and you searching in the email. So there's in the chat, there's link. If you're not there, I know for sure that not everyone is there. Maybe it's one person, but please join that. I will approve. You will be in the group. I'm going to share my screen to show you the group. Oh, I am logged out. Can you see my Facebook?
Yeah, we've got you, Julian.
Okay, good. I'm joining back somehow to the Facebook, to this thing. So this is the group. And as you can see, this is us here. We're live. It's even moving. Now, in the group, you cannot go and post anything at this point, at least. Okay, at this point, oh, by the way, it did stop recording, so I'm going to restart recording. No, it does record. Okay, so you will not be able to post here. In order for you to ask a question, you have in the group, there are several posts. So you can find them very easily because there will be not many posts. So you can see that there is a post that is called Q&A, and you can go to this post and ask questions, and we will respond in this thread. If it will get very long, it's, by the way, called week 1. So week 2, we will close this one and open a new one. And then you can always refer to the first one as a collection of questions and answers. So you can always go back and find that. You don't need to search for a group for all the different things. You don't know to think, like sometimes you would say, oh, I remember someone asked this and this question, and now you go through all the group and looking for it. Now you have all those in the same place. I know it might be a little discouraging in the beginning because those who were here, they were just, I post a question and that's it. Don't hesitate, go to the post, use it. I can show you an example just so you know how that works live. And pardon the Hebrew, but I have something similar that I run in Hebrew in Israel. This is the group, I have like 30 people here. So we have those posts. For example, those people also report in the group on how they eat. So we just started week 5 2 days ago, and there's 40 comments here. They post the chronometer here. And this is the post from week 4. So there is 150 comments there. And this is questions and answers. We just started the week 5. I can go lower. So we have posts for every single week, for every single theme. So this is question and answers for week 4. There's 52. And as we go back, there will be more and more and more and more in those places. Okay, so this is report for week 3, 200. And this is why, well, this is questions for week 3, etc. This is why instead of having huge mass, I would like to structure it. And this way you can always find, oh, I asked the question, it will be there. Someone else asked the question I want to go back to. It's definitely going to be in Q&A thread. I don't need to search all the group for this. So we have thread for this. So you will find Q&A easily. Now, there is another post here, which is welcome post. And we want you to say hi and talk about who you are. So that would be amazing. And we will have posts here for anything that is relevant. So for example, for recipes, we have a post as well that's ready here. So you can post anything you eat or your recipes right here. And then we'll be, finding whatever recipes we posted very easily. So, and if you want to see, hey, what recipes were posted so far, I want to post, you go here. And this will be the structure. At some point, if we see that, that works well and there's no mess, we might enable posting for personal reasons, but I would like to kind of gather all the information that is important into specific places, because it's going to be not 1 month like we did before. It's going to be up to 3 months per cycle, and there will be a lot. If it's not structured, you will not find anything going back. And now I'm going to stop sharing for this purpose and ask you how you feel about this format. If anyone has any reservations or otherwise about this.
Julian, it's Mike. From having gone through it in January, I think that's a good suggestion to do it something like that, because it did get a little confusing trying to go back and you saw something and you wanted to follow up on it. So putting definitely, since we're going to be going for more than 30 days, being having folders.
Perfect. And we also introduced something you will see in the group. There will be guides. At this point, they don't contain much, but there's a guide for information. There's a guide for recipes, and we will be able to gather everything in there. So anyone posts something specific, or Dr. Adria posts something, educational material, or I do, we will add them to the guides then, and then you can go to the guide and just go step by step and make sure you didn't miss anything as well. All right. Now, I wanted to say that we're going to have these gatherings on a weekly basis. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m., we're going to keep this as permanent as possible. And of course, if life happens, we will move it to another day. But we want to make it ideally same time most of the time.
Julian, one thing is next Wednesday, just a reminder, we have the chef coming. Chef Devin's going to do like an hour demonstration, because one of the things that came up last month was we don't want people to get bored with what they were eating. So if you're eating like chicken, steak, pork chop, this way we're going to teach you how to make sauces and dressings just to, spice things up a little. And I'm waiting. She's going to be sending me probably by tomorrow a recipe list for what she's going to be doing, so that we can ahead of time, maybe if you want to chop and cook with her and be a part of it. So just that's what we're going to do. So I don't know how you want to structure your meeting next week.
We're all here, right? It's like masterminds group. There's always someone in the hot seat.
Okay.
We'll have you with Devon next week. So that's perfect.
Okay.
And
sounds good.
Just like when we have our weekly calls, someone talks more than others, and then they got more suggestions. So, and everyone learns from that. So I think that's perfect.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be something general. We always can have a topic, and otherwise we will always have things to talk about. Now, there's another very important thing I do want to talk about is we have people who did this for a month already and been very successful with feeling better, with losing weight, with learning things, learning how to approach certain things. And it would be amazing if you guys who already did this and continuing, share your knowledge with others, help others, because this is a community. And if someone asks a question that you definitely know the answer to, or you experience something similar, you can always go and answer. And worst case, we will come in and say, hey, we also suggest this and this. But supporting each other will be tremendously good for you as well. And back in the day, this is how I started too. I was in some group, and I learned by helping others from my experience, and then I went to study at some point, but that wasn't the idea in the beginning. So I do suggest to be involved, and if you see something that you definitely went through, you can definitely help someone else. And we have stars here, so use them, right? Another thing, I don't know how much everyone is familiar with Facebook. Obviously, if you went through this once, you are. Facebook will not always let us know there's something new. So if you have a question and you want to address it to Dr. Adria or myself specifically, you can tag us. You can write @ and then our name, and it will tag us, and it will pop us notification saying, hey, you've been tagged. And then I can go and specifically go and answer you without me scrolling and seeing if there are any comments. Especially if sometimes you ask something and you get no answer, crickets. It doesn't mean that we're ignoring you. It means we didn't see it because we were not notified. So please do not hesitate to just say, hey, I tagged you. It will never be a case where someone is ignoring any of you. And I'm sure when you went through this for a month, you know that, but sometimes things can be frustrating. You write something and next day there's nothing in there, right? And so we want you to get help. So please do not wait. And if anything, message me directly on Facebook, right? Like, do not sit there in the corner and don't be shy, which is another thing that is very important. And mostly, again, for folks who are new ones and maybe not very social media savvy and things like that, this is a very safe place. And this is your place. So if you have any question or any problem, do not be shy, even if you think it doesn't pertain to the rest of the group, or it's not. Everyone is going through things. Everyone has questions. If you ask, you will be an example for other shy people to ask, and then you won't be shy anymore. And it's definitely relevant for any age, any gender, anyone at all. So successful people also can be very shy when they're in a new environment. So don't be shy. Shy people don't get anywhere with their goals. So I really encourage you to participate and just be mindful and polite to others. All right. So now, before I switch to some chronometer training, I want to see if anyone has any non-chronometer related questions from anyone.
Could you just help us? What does it mean about next Wednesday regarding the chef and what we're doing or not doing? I kind of missed that. So we have a meeting at 7 o'clock online. Is the chef online or are they on premise?
The chef is going to be part of the Zoom call.
I get it. Okay. Sorry. Just was unclear.
No, that's okay. And I think she's someone that I've worked with a lot in my practice, and I think you're going to love it. She's great.
That's fantastic.
So I think it's good to do early on, because I think that way nobody will get bored with what they're eating.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And I think it's worth to mention background before Irene asks. What it's like this. That doesn't need to be a why for this, because it's always great to learn something else and how to cook and stuff. However, you will see that you might, and not everyone will run into this, but some people might run into difficulties that, oh, it's boring for me now because I don't have all that food I was eating. And now it's, I don't know, chicken and lettuce. And so basically non-processed food, and non-processed food is boring unless you make it non-boring. And sometimes people just run into this thing of, oh my God, like I miss this and I miss that, and now all my food looks the same, which we actually want for you to have. We don't want you to go and search for variety, because this is what brings us to our own place in the first place. However, the idea is to teach you how to literally spice up your life in general, right? You can have eggs, and based on the spices and eggs, it can be 10 different dishes. So this is exactly where we're going with this. And Chef Devon will teach you how to spice things up and make things different. Maybe every time, if you wish. At some point, I was trying something else almost every day. I have a huge drawer of those spices until that became boring. And now I just like same thing all the time, and I don't want to deal with this. So my eating all day takes maybe 15 minutes. I'm not a good example though. So that said, next question, if anyone has any.
So I have a question. Spicing things up. Can we use honey?
That's not a spice. And I will Dr. Adria pop in for this.
You're going to notice that when you have your macros set, that certain things use up a lot of macros and aren't really worth it. So you can make an argument for honey that it's really healthy, but it is pretty carbohydrate dense. Like a teaspoon can have 11 grams of sugar. And we don't really want the fast acting sugars, because what we're trying to do is stabilize your blood sugar. So when you're consuming these, when I say fast acting, things that convert to sugar quickly, you're going to remain on that roller coaster, which is going to provoke the craving. So I'd rather see you use herbs and spices early on as opposed to sweeteners. Plus, we kind of want to down-regulate that taste on your tongue, where you're kind of so, it's almost like someone who uses a lot of salt. And then when we take it away from them, even a little bit of salt tastes salty enough. Same with sugar. So we want to kind of pull back a little so that when you do need to use it for any specific reason, a little bit is going to do a lot, probably a lot more than it's doing right now. So the answer for now is no. But
Okay.
I think after Wednesday, when you learn how to flavor a little better, and I know you know how to do it to some degree, but I always learn from Devin a lot. And so it'll make things a little more interesting and healthy, because every single spice is an anti-inflammatory. So there's so much to be gained from that anyway. And then we'll see, we'll take it from there. But for this first month or couple of months, I think it's really important to be careful with the sugars. Agreed, Julian?
I agree. I also want to add something that is related or not, but think about this. When you say, I want honey, ask yourself, why do you want it? Meaning, what's in honey that makes you want it? Is it because you like it? Is it because you think it's healthy and very useful? Is it because you just cannot live without honey?
So my question was based on, let's say, dressing up the vegetables. Some of the dressings, to offset the vinegar, let's say, add a little bit of sweetener. That's where I was coming from. I don't need honey spoonful.
Okay. So we suggest to remove anything that is sugary or dairy for the duration of this, at least in the beginning. There are things that you can add. There will be dressings that we can probably recommend that are low carb or low fat, depending on the ingredients. There's plenty, actually. You can go and things like ShopRite. We use no sugar ketchup, and that's been great. Kids hated it, but they had no choice. But there are some things we really don't want to, and a little honey can go a long way in terms of how much sugar is in there. And we want to minimize this for this purpose. And once you're in a good place with all your parameters, you can say, okay, let me try honey and see what happens in 3 months, right? Like, how do I feel? Where do I go? And do I really need it? All right.
Okay. So my next question, so I watched the 2-hour video, and I just want to confirm that you giving us macros, we're going, so let's say tonight, and we're going to preset our meals planning for the duration. So let's say 3, 5, 7 days. And then every morning you just wake up, grab those ingredients, and you just eat that. Is that in a nutshell how it works?
I love that you did it,
Mine's
because
3
it
to
means
5
you really
minutes.
did the homework. Really, all the way, because this is exactly what ideally we want you to do. We don't want you to eat and then log your food. We don't even want for you to do it as you go and playing Tetris and saying, oh my God, it takes all my life and all my time and all my nerves and whatever. We want you to learn to plan your day at least a day ahead. And ideally, once you have ideal day, try to do more of the same and use this as a checklist. And then just then like you basically have a recipe, and then using that as a recipe rather than dealing with this on a daily basis and stressed about it.
And my next question, and I think it's the last question. So I have a set of supplements that I take. So I do it, let's say, 3 times a day. So do you know if Chronometer allows me to create, like, let's say, a recipe out of those supplements that I could do just like I took?
Absolutely. It absolutely does. You can create my supplements, whatever recipe, and just add it.
Just morning, afternoon, and evening, and just plop it in as I go.
And this is a very good point, by the way, because if you're taking any supplements, which most of you do, or all of you, I do warmly suggest to plug them all in. And then you can see where you have at least a potential for deficiencies. And then if there's any issues or we have any worries or wonders or your blood work doesn't look good and you're working with Dr. Adria for that, we can say, hey, you don't have enough of this. And we clearly see that because everything you eat and everything you take is in there, and you're clearly missing, I don't know, manganese or whatever it is.
Okay. I think I'm good with my questions. Thank you.
I just want to add one thing about that. The nice thing also is the chronometer does give you your vitamins, your minerals, your omegas. And for the minerals, it's fairly accurate in terms of the RDA. The B vitamins are so low, so you can't really count on that. If it says you're low in B, you are dreadfully low in B, because if someone's low in B12, I give them 1,000 micrograms. The RDA is under 10. So you can't really go by that for the B vitamins. So you're probably going to look inflated and think, oh, I'm great with Bs, but don't count on that one. The minerals, the magnesium, the zincs, the calciums, the omegas are a little bit more accurate than the B vitamins are. So just be aware of that when you're seeing, because it may look like you're going crazy. Oh my God, I have 7,000%, but it's okay for the B vitamins. Don't start emailing me that I'm poisoning you if you see that. Okay.
I would say it's the case for almost everything. If you over, don't worry. Worry if you under, even if it's sodium. And we'll have separate conversation about that.
The only one I would worry about over is you don't want too much iron. You really don't want to go so far over on your iron. That could get a little hairy for many reasons. But for the other ones, the RDA is really based on the amount you need to not get a deficiency disease, like rickets and scurvy and those kind of things. Not really what's important for optimal health. So, the whole point is if you're under, you're really in trouble. But if you're over, don't freak out about that.
And you also can establish, if you have direction from Dr. Adria, how much of what you need to be taking, you can set it up the way the minimum is your dose and not that RDA, because RDA seriously is, I would say, crap, pardon my French, because it's also most of the time irrelevant for optimal health. And also they were established a long time ago, and it was probably based on the average weight of the person back then, which was around 30 pounds less. So
one quick question. Margarita,
one by one.
All right. You set the caloric intake, the target, based on the weight, and the reduction in your weight or how you're progressing, caloric intake goes down accordingly. If we start to burn calories by, running or doing whatever, do you accommodate for that, or how do we get that to you? Because if you're burning 300 to 500 calories and you're set on a target, you're going to be woefully low or hungry.
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, and that can be very long discussion, but I would say this. All of you are in caloric deficit by definition because you want to lose weight. Okay. We typically do not take physical activity into the account unless it's extremely strenuous physical activity. And why? Because you cannot add energy that you burn to your daily spend. Meaning, if you spend in a day, I'm just going with a round number because it's nice. Some of you might get offended. If you spend 1,000 calories at rest, and then you go and run and spend maybe 300 calories, maybe, right? And we don't spend as much as we think. We also don't know. Those things have can have 40% miss on that. So they don't mean much, but we also cannot add because the person in a deficit will compensate. So if you go and have really hard training, at rest, you will spend way less than you usually do, and it doesn't add up. So for someone who is in caloric deficit, that additive model doesn't work. There's compensation model, and I can provide papers if anyone likes read research and whatnot. But just know that if you have a tracker and it tells you, hey, you spent, 600 calories because you did something, you didn't. Not
so do we enter our exercise into
no, no, I would say this, if you like that for your own benefit to track it, you can. I don't think this is the best app to do this. The only reason they have exercise there, so the app can kind of say, oh, you did this activity, so let's give you more calories to eat, which is incorrect. Especially it can use either device, and it just for convenience, but it's useless. So everyone who went through setup, I disabled that option. So your calories from exercise will not give you extra calories anyway, unless you turn this on. I encourage you not to do this. And if you want to track exercise, we can discuss. I can add you to my other app that I use where actually you can track workouts, but you can use any app for that is separate, or you can use this, but while keeping in mind this is for your record and not for any caloric calculation.
And if I can, I wanted to thank Irene. She made a great suggestion. And I'll post how to make the custom menus from January. I'll repost how to do that. But to add the supplements as menus, I hadn't thought of doing that. That's a great suggestion, because basically they're just ingredients, right? That's the way we can kind of look at it. And then I had hooked my device, I had hooked the chronometer to my Fitbit watch so that it could at least pull in the data. I hadn't tracked it. It had fallen off. I got a resync or something. But I did do that. You can figure that out. And I just have a question for David. Is he telling me he's finally hungry?
No, I'm not. I'm actually I'm not there yet. But I'm just starting to kick off my running. So I know that usually after a long run, I'll come in ravenous.
I'm waiting for the day when you get like me. I'm starving over here.
I have
to tell everybody I've eaten more protein probably in the last 30 days than I have ever in my life. So and I love meats. So I just keep adding another can of salmon.
Perfect. I do want to add to this that if you are doing kind of strenuous cardio, it will make you hungry, which does not correspond to the amount of energy you spend. Just because it's glycolytic way to burn energy. So you burn sugar, it will want you more sugar. And so there's a lot to say on that, but bottom line is, if you're doing exercise and that makes you hungry, it's not because you spend all that amount. Most people tend to really rely on devices or think, I ran 10 kilometers or whatever, 20 miles. I can eat a lot and I'm so hungry. So they eat until they're not hungry, and then they are off by 1,000 calories. So your tracker, your calories are set. If you're working out, I suggest to add serving of protein ahead of time. If you will feel energy drops during the workout, you will have hard things, bring it up in the group, and based on your workout and based on where you are with your body composition, I will suggest what else to add. Okay, and it will depend on where you are and will depend on your type of activity. Sound good? Margarita, you wanted to say something too?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to ask a question a little bit more long-term. And Irene had the question about the honey. And unlike Irene, I'm a honey addict. And so my question is, and somebody else may have something that's, meaningful to them. At what point can you add those things back into your, steady state diet, if at all?
Okay, so I will say this. If you say you are something addict, I would say you need to work on not being an addict of whatever it is. And it can be even something very good in general. Okay. If you cannot be without honey, let's work on mindset. Let's work on removing that and replacing it with other foods. And you might be addict of honey just because you have it always available or you're used to that, and maybe not consuming enough of other things that will make you not want it. So someone has cookies, someone has honey, which is not the worst, but kind of still not ideal. And when you will start eating by protocol and not having that and eating enough of what you're supposed to eat, you will probably experience something different. You just heard that David said, oh, I'm not hungry, right? And I think everyone who was last month in our program, they are not hungry. Hunger is not there. And if we look at the amount of calories, which I, by the way, encourage not to get, very discouraged by looking, oh my God, it's this amount of calories and I thought I need this. Calories don't really matter in this specific setting because we want you to look at your macronutrients and get exactly of how much macronutrients you need. If you get there, if you start eating at least enough protein, if you will have enough fiber, if you will have enough of your micronutrients, and again, I'm not being politically correct. If you are overweight because you're trying to lose weight, there's no reason for you to be hungry. Okay, and I can say I forgot to have my second meal, second day in a row. Probably 500-600 calories yesterday and today. I'm not hungry. I am cold though, as you can see, but I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat. I got too busy with setting up macros and things like that. But hunger doesn't mean that you need to eat. On the flip side, lack of hunger, and you will see it, and we will kind of be annoying probably. If you don't eat enough, especially protein and fiber, and you're not hungry, doesn't mean you don't need to eat. So don't try to stuff yourself and kill yourself with food, but do be mindful and, like you need to have 100 grams of protein. You had 60, you're in a very, very bad place, even if you're not hungry. Okay. And for that purpose, you can have a protein shake and such, but do bring up everything. If you think I ate half of what I'm supposed to eat, I'm not hungry, it's all good. Hey, I'm losing weight fast. It's not okay. Do let us know. Do tell us, because we cannot afford having you, ending you having deficiencies. And I will talk a lot about what protein means and what fiber means. And Dr. Adria will talk about and what fat means down the road. We will break those things down, but there's a reason for those numbers. And eating less than this, it's not a good idea. Just like eating more than this. There's a reason for those numbers to be there.
And it also doesn't ensure weight loss. I've been doing this for a while, and the people who tend to always be under in protein and not paying attention don't lose the weight.
Correct. And protein doesn't make you fat. Period. Lack of protein does. Okay. So don't try to hack the system. Don't try to eat less. And if you're not eating enough and you're losing weight, it's not just fat. It's bones, it's muscle. You don't want for that to happen, right? You for that, you don't need to be here. It's very easy to starve yourself to really bad place. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if not, I am going to go over chronometer setup. And everyone is welcome to stick around, obviously. I think if you didn't see it before, you will definitely benefit. If you have questions, if you've seen the training and you still have questions, you will benefit. Again, Margarita and Robin, you are not on my chronometer yet. Let's address it after, but let's also go over this training. Okay, let's see what we do with the app. And with your permission, I will start sharing my screen. This is exactly why we cannot use phones. And Adria, do you have anything to say before that? Okay.
I just want to bid my goodbyes. It's 8 o'clock. This is all the time that I have, and I started setting everything up, so I'm good.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting everyone.
Same here.
See you soon.
Bye.
See you in the group. Bye. All right, so can you guys see my screen with chronometer? Someone
Yes.
say yes. Okay, great. Okay, so again, we see some people here. Margarita and Robin, you need to join. Okay, we have our, let me find myself for this purpose. Okay. Now, do not look at my own macros. They are irrelevant for this purpose. And I also don't track every day. They're just my guide, but those are basically my macros at this point that I'm using for this next couple of months. Now, as you can see, you can, by the way, everyone can log in their chronometer on the computer, and this is the view you will have. On the computer, it's way easier to see things because it will basically break down all the things that you want to see: vitamins, minerals, liquids, lipids, proteins, etc. And we can also set up things that you want to see. All right. So now, again, I do want you to look at the training that I did before. It was probably 2 hours just about chronometer. So it's very important that you go through there, but I want to go over basic things here. And first of all, the way I mentioned, you will have a list of foods that we suggest that will be posted in the group. We didn't post it yet, right? So we will post it ASAP. Now, it's very important that the foods that you eat are, again, nothing with sugar, no grains, no dairy, no legumes ideally, but do ask us if anything. We do suggest to stay away from all those things. Dr. Adria will complete if I'm missing anything.
Well, we took away gluten too,
and
which to the grains, so just be aware.
Yeah, so like, and to me, obviously, like no bread, no gluten, but it makes sense to say nothing with gluten that should be in your diet. Now, you have way higher carbs set up, most of you. For those who went to our January camp and could not eat all their grams of carb systematically, we reduced that because I don't want anyone to undereat. So instead of this, you would get more fat and sometimes more protein. It depends on where you are. So you can eat all your macros. I don't want anyone under eating. So please pay attention. Things have changed for some of you. All right. Now, when you do not eat processed food, when you don't have anything with gluten, no grain, no bread, no dairy, it's really hard to overeat. It's almost impossible because those things are things that bring you a lot of sugar and a lot of fat. If you stay away from fatty meats and go for leaner cuts, which again, I suggest when you consume meat because you do not have a lot of fat to consume, then it will be easier for you to overeat, harder for you to overeat in general. When a person doesn't have garbage to eat, I would say, right? Carbohydrate garbage, it's really hard to eat a lot of carbohydrate. When you eat vegetables, when you eat even fruits that are low in carb, when you eat fibrous things, you will not get a lot of carb in there. And if you are struggling to eat enough, do let us know. There's going to be sources of fiber in the group, and we want you to go by that. Do not try to supplement fiber without asking us. right? If you see I'm missing fiber, I would just go eat some powder or buy some kind of fiber bread that is only fiber. Do not do this. When it's processed food, you most of the time cannot count fiber as fiber for those purposes once it's processed, because it might convert to actual sugar when you can ingest it. So do pay attention to that. As we spoke previously, and Irene got it right, we want you to track your food in a way that you pre-plan your food. If you want to eat easily, without stress, without spending time on that every day, which is not our goal and not your goal. No one wants to sit and count everything all the time. Plan your food and create a template that will work for you most of the time. And obviously, it's not going to be there all the time. You're going out, you're traveling, but this will help you to plan your food. So when you are planning your food, remember this rule: protein first. You have meals. You have 2 or 3 meals. For some of you, it might be hard with their macros to have 3 meals. If it's hard, have 2. Do not have 1. Do not practice 1 meal a day, because you will waste your body with that. Ideally, have servings of protein that are at least 30 grams every meal. If you had 5 grams, 10 grams, it's not enough, because then it's not going to support your muscle system.
And can I just say something? Sorry,
You should.
It might be confusing when we throw out grams. You know, some of you are not used to measuring that way. So I was going to say, I think you did add the Smart Start macro guide. So that's on the Facebook page. And if you download it, what we did was we separated, you know, some of the different proteins. For instance, chicken, turkey, beef, they all have 8.5 grams of protein per ounce. And it's all there for you. You don't have to memorize it. But it's not that hard to get the 30 to 35 grams when you think of it that way, because 4 ounces is going to easily get you there. The biggest mistake we see initially, and kind of an obstacle, which doesn't need to be, is breakfast. So that's pretty much what everyone does wrong in America. The breakfast, you need that protein at breakfast, because that's when you stop breaking down muscle tissue if you get enough protein at that first meal. Otherwise, you're going to remain in what's called catabolism and breaking down your tissue. So that is so key. And yet, what does everyone do? They go and they get a croissant and a cup of coffee, or maybe they have an egg or 2, which even if you ate 2 whole eggs, that is only giving you 12 grams of protein. So this is where you have to start rethinking what you're doing. And most of us are here, myself included, because we're making some mistakes. So this is where we learn, and it may be foreign to you, but that's why you need to change. And when you look at that Smart Start guide that we gave, it really helps you. As soon as you go on this, you can see, like, you put in chicken, you put 1 ounce, but this just gives you a little bit of a cheat sheet so you can think ahead. And also, when Julian says eat the same things, the arrangement is the same, like this much protein, this much vegetables, but we do want to see variety. We don't want to see chicken and broccoli every single day, because in order to have a healthy gut microbiome, you need to vary your plant food. So you need different vegetables. And the truth is, at the amount of grams he's giving you for carbs, you would explode if you ate all of it. It's going to look low, but if we say eat 50 grams of vegetables, good luck with that. It's going to be really hard to do. So you're not going to be hungry. And we want you to really try to get there with the healthy foods, because that's how you're going to get your fiber and you're going to get all your phytonutrients. So, you know, don't look at it and go, oh my God, 50 grams. Yeah, if you had 2 cups of pasta, that's 80 grams. But if you have 12 pounds of broccoli, you're probably still not at 50 grams. So, you know, take a look at the guide and you'll get more ideas. If you can download that, like by tomorrow, I think that would be helpful, because we really want you to get started, take advantage of all the time. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you so much. And that was a nice segue, because some people also think that 30 grams of turkey is 30 grams of protein. It's not. Okay. Turkey is not protein, and broccoli is not fiber or carb. It has carb. Turkey has protein, but it also has fat. So let's make sure we understand that. And here's an example for breakfast that I'm adding. As I said, every meal should have at least 30 grams of protein at the least. And if you are a larger person in terms of size, weight, muscle mass, bone mass, you need more. Okay, so 100 grams will be give or take for some people an minimum. Now, you can see that 4 ounces of chicken, if which in grams will be probably 140, something like this. No, 180 maybe. No, whatever. Something like this. I will go back to those. My math is bad. But 4 ounces of chicken will have 35 grams of protein. Okay, this is chicken breast and 5 grams of fat. So it's a lean meat that will give you with 4 ounces really nice amount of protein as a meal. So for example, if I'm planning my breakfast, I will add this and it populates my protein here, populates my fat. Why am I planning protein first? Because typically protein source, unless it's a shake, is going to give you some fat and sometimes some carb, depending on what you're having. For example, if I'm adding an egg, and people might panic, I have 2 eggs every morning, it has carb. Don't panic, it should. It's a whole organism just like us. There's carb in our internal organs that we make. Our liver makes sugar. Our liver makes glucose. It's normal. It's very small amount and it's not added sugar. So don't think about this too much. Okay, so this is, for example, a good thing for my breakfast in terms of protein and a little fat. So I planned protein for 1 meal. For lunch, I can go ahead. And again, you can see I'm not talking vegetables. I'm not talking fat yet. I am talking protein. So I will go for lunch and I will add, let's say, salmon. And I will go for the same 4 ounces because it's easy. And you will also see that when we're talking about protein sources that are on a linear lower fat side, they will give or take 30 grams of protein per 4 ounces of weight. So it's very nice way to make sure that, oh, I have 4 ounces, I'm kind of covered. Definitely with 5. And when we add in some vegetables, they will come with some protein as well. So here I am here. And then for dinner, I might have maybe filet mignon. Okay. And I will have 4 ounces of that. 35 grams of protein, 10. It's a different meat. It's exactly same macros as chicken breast, for example, almost. And now I'm lacking here, but also I'm working out. So here I will have my protein shake. And for that purpose, Adria, what shake?
It's the Designs for Health Pure Paleo. There it is.
Okay, I will have protein, but this is what I want you to remember. Add more than a scoop as a serving. So you, in case you decide to use that as a meal or before the workout, 20 grams will not be enough. Okay, so you want to have more. So you can switch it to grams and have, let's figure out 40 grams of that powder. So you are right where you need with the amount of protein.
Basically 1.5 scoops, just to make it easy.
Yep, that makes it easy. So now I added this. and my protein looks kind of good. Now, when I will keep on adding vegetables, I will probably go slightly over my protein. And yes, vegetables and basically anything you eat, unless it's a mineral, has protein, but not much. And also see how by doing this, I'm already in a really nice amount of fat here without thinking about fat, if it makes sense. And this is why, again, I don't want you to add fat there first or go by a hunch and then figure out that I'm low on protein, I'm over my fat, and you're in trouble. Also, I don't want you to look at the calories here and go by the calories. Some people might say, oh, I have 1,000 calories. I already ate this much and I'm not having enough protein. I'm not hungry either, but I can have, I don't know, whatever, a couple of nuts and it will get me there with calories, and it's a wrong thing to do. If you are low on your protein, you're low on your protein and calories will not fix it. So do not go by calories, go by amount of each macronutrient. Do not go over it, and always make sure you are reaching your protein at least at 90%. And you can go to 110% and nothing will happen. You will not gain any weight from that.
One other thing too, the reason we chose the Pure Paleo is because it's a complete protein. It has all the essential aminos, and a lot of these, like, you know, grain-based proteins, even though it may give you a certain amount of protein, it's not going to give you the same bang for your buck as the kind of proteins that we're mentioning here, especially if you're using it for workout or for, you know, for your first meal of the day. So we always want those complete proteins.
I have a client who studies nutrition. 2 days ago, she failed a test and her professor failed her because she said that you cannot complete your protein from nuts and seeds. And while there are numbers in there, you really cannot. Okay, it will not affect you in any favorable way. So do not try. And if any of you likes nuts or loves nuts, please stay away from them as well. Because if you eating nuts, you likely will be having a hard time to control yourself. So taking 10 grams of nuts, 15 grams of nuts, putting them on your salad, that's one thing. Eating nuts is a completely different thing. Hard to stop. Very, very large amount of calories will get you to inflammation side as well. Stay away.
Julian says they're a gateway drug.
They are. Yeah.
So hi, it's Elaine. So is the breakfast shake then with fruit and kale, or is that not a good thing to do?
No, why? That would not be a good
That's
thing.
okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. Especially if you cannot eat in the morning because of the time or because I can't eat in the morning, right? But you still should get your protein in the morning.
Okay, thanks.
Hour or
Sorry.
2 hours from wake up, you should.
One more question about the protein for breakfast. So you're saying you need to have a scoop and a half instead of a scoop if you're taking it as a breakfast?
This is what I suggest, yes.
Okay, even if you're not working out?
It doesn't matter.
The recommendation is to have between 30 and 35 grams, because what happens when you fast overnight is you still have tissue that's awake, you know, still have busy brain and busy kidneys and busy liver, and they're going to require amino acids, which are the protein building blocks. So because you don't wake up at 3 in the morning and have a filet mignon, you're going to use your muscle tissue as that reservoir, and you're going to be catabolic. You're going to be pulling those amino acids out of your muscle. And the research has shown that until you consume at least that 30, they really recommend 35 grams, you're going to stay, you know, pulling from the muscle. You're going to remain in catabolism. So it's really important to make sure you're getting enough at that meal.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the older you are, the more you want to have. So that 30 grams recommendation, it's maybe good for someone who is 40, but you want to have more. And don't be shy. And especially when you're having a powder, it's just slightly more powder. And when you're drinking, you will have no idea, even if it's 20 grams more. It just doesn't matter. It's not going to be hard, except of, oh my God, it's another 20 grams. And as for your question, Bian, about even if you don't work out, especially if you don't work out, then you want to make sure that there's enough. If you're working out, that scoop might be enough, because the idea is to trigger your muscle synthesis, to allow the brain to receive that signal, build muscle, preserve muscle, cause muscle synthesis, cause protein synthesis, and that requires that amount of protein. However, weight training by itself is causing that signal. So then protein is assisting that. But if you didn't work out, you don't get that signal. So you really need to have all your protein to preserve your body. And overnight fast is catabolic. Then if you don't have anything in the morning or don't have enough, you continue to be in the fast, even if you had, bunch of cookies. So.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
And just one more question also. So should we also not be looking as much at the energy, the calories? Because I'm noticing a change, like even in my shakes from last month. So like this morning I was looking real, because you wrote to me, look very closely, Elaine. And at first I didn't know exactly what you meant. And then today I started to look very closely, and I noticed that the same shake I was making last month, this month, was like 450 energy, like calories in the morning. So this morning I eliminated the nut, because then, I'm not sure about when I'm calculating, because it is really different. And, my energy, my calories that you had accounted for originally went down. So, or should we not wash that? Like this morning, I eliminated some stuff from my shake, basically, is what I'm saying. Because I'm noticing now, oh boy, how the flax raised it and the nut butter raised it. And I'm not so sure, like, wow, I want to shake, it's healthy, but I'm not used to really having something for 450 calories in the morning. So like, should we be cognizant of that or not look at that?
Oh, absolutely. And for you don't want to have nut butter. That's one thing. It's like having butter. It's not making it way better, right?
I guess that's how I used to add some protein to mine.
I get it. But protein is protein. Nut butter doesn't add protein.
Okay, so I took it away this morning.
Okay.
I took it away.
And yes, you should pay attention to your calories, and you cannot go over your calories unless those calories come from fiber. And then for some people, it also will, there's a couple of people that I changed the way that they calibrate, and they count in total carb, because they really were playing with this. So it doesn't work. When I say I don't want you to pay attention to calories, it's in terms of you cannot go by calories without keeping in mind what macronutrients you put in there, right? So if you had all your calories from fat and carb and there's zero protein, and you say, hey, I had my calories, that's very, very wrong. If you had all your calories from protein, you won't be able to. Let's say
no,
that.
like the breakdown looked like, I can't remember exactly this morning, but it looked pretty good as far as how much protein it was, and so forth. It just seemed that it was it was much more caloric this time than it had been, obviously because you changed the macros also. So, okay, I appreciate
it. But and also I do want to say this, that if you have, I don't know, 1,100 calories that you eat a day, your shake cannot be 400 calories.
Well, I have less than that now. So
or 3 for that purpose, right? You cannot, shake is there to give you protein, period. There's no way protein shake is 300 calories. Or
I guess I have to get used to changing, because I've been used to in the past of trying to get I really didn't put anything. I used 2 scoops of the powder that I'm using. I used kale, I used some strawberry and almond milk, and I didn't put the nut butter in, and 2 tablespoons of flax.
So flax will come expensive in terms of fat, I presume.
Are you going over in fat, Elaine?
Sorry?
Was she
I'm
going
not going over in fat. It's just that now it's kind of new for me. So I'm trying to calculate, like yesterday when I ate, okay, because it's new. I don't know if it's yesterday, the day before, but like after lunch, I was just noticing, wow, I don't have a lot left for dinner. Like it's just a change for me. And it's not so much, I'm not going over like, let's say in the whole day, but if I'm looking at the calories, I'm saying to myself, that seems like a hefty caloric breakfast.
I don't have a problem with hefty caloric breakfast, but if this is your breakfast as a shake, that is a problem because you're literally drinking your calories and it's not going to work as a meal, especially if you're going over your stuff here, right? Like,
so then what do I do with a shake in the morning? Then I don't put the flax in, take that out.
Do not have less. I honestly suggest
have only 1 scoop.
Well, look at this day. Did she go over in fat on this day? But that was, she had 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. That was what did it. So look at
the day that I don't think this is when we started new. I don't know.
I think it doesn't really matter for this purpose. Okay. It just, and I think it is, right? But for that purpose, you already were over in general because your body changed. But where I'm going with this is like, pay attention. It wasn't 70 for sure anyway before, right? Maybe it was 50 something but it's not going there.
Right on that day, but other days I don't go. I mean, we pick that day, but other days I don't go over. Sometimes it's under. So okay. I guess it's just trial and error. I'm sorry, I don't want to take the time.
But this is a good opportunity for
I just
someone
want to know because I'm used to the way that Adrian and I usually I load up the shake, and I put all this in it because I think I'm getting, because I was so low in protein always. But now when I'm doing it, I'm seeing, wow, I'm not going to, that's very caloric. I'm not going to have enough to eat anything for lunch and so much lunch and dinner. So I'm trying to see, even because I like the shake in the morning, what I could eliminate. So definitely I took out today the peanut butter. I took that away.
Okay.
And I guess I'll take out the flax and maybe only use a scoop.
I don't think you need to totally take it out. I think if you notice when Julian
I think the flax is not a problem here.
Yeah, I don't either. When Julian did his, if you notice when he put the protein in first, he got some fat there. So I think the problem with doing backwards a little bit is that you're going to go so high in fat that then you're going to not want to eat enough of the protein that may add some of the fat. And you're going to end up missing out on the most important macro. So I think that's where you have to put in the protein first, and then you see what your allowance is. Oh, look, I'm under. I mean, I've noticed people be under in fat too. And I'll say, eat an avocado or some avocado because that's going to give you fat and fiber. So then you'll see what your allotment is without having, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is, a hefty amount of peanut butter.
Well, also, I guess because I was trying to make the 30 some odd the protein for the morning. So when I started with 1 scoop of protein powder originally, that wasn't anywhere near the protein that I needed. So instead of doing 2 scoops, I added, I'm trial and error trying. So now I see that this month that I have to do something different.
Well, you continue. So you always want to change things up. Also, do not try to make actual meal out of your shake. 30 grams of protein is a meal, but it's protein replacement meal. Guys, try to not drink your calories. It's not going to have a good effect on anyone. It might cause hunger. It might cause, like losing minerals or what, but also it will cause you to absorb more fat and calories than you want.
So better to just have the shake and then have the egg.
Protein, you want to add some strawberries, great.
Okay.
Like teaspoon of flaxseed, great, but do not make it food and instead of actual meal. It's literally to help you to have more protein, not to anything else. And if you go in for a meal even, and this is true for everyone, and I'm happy we're here because, you know, everyone can learn something. When you build in a meal, try to make it even on macros. If you're having 30 grams, like your bars should stay around the same area so you can have your meals more even. So do not have meal that is low on protein in percentages, really high on something else, unless it's a protein. If it's pure protein, that's fine. Don't go to the place where carbs or fat are higher in the percentage than your protein. For example, if this is a meal, it's a really bad meal. Okay. This is a salad with some chicken. Look at the fat, look at the carbs, and there's no protein there. It will be digested and processed in a completely different way than it would be otherwise. Insulin, glucose, satiety, you name it. Okay, so plan your meals evenly as much as possible. And if not, try to have more protein than any other macros in that meal. And going back to me, to the example. So this is planned for just protein, which again, filled some carb, filled a lot of fat, and I didn't add cooking fat. Okay, and do pay attention to this. Guys who did it know that when you cook, you add fat. Some people will not pay attention to that and will not add fat, right? You had some butter, you had some olive oil on the salad or in the pan or in your whatever way you're cooking. You need to track that fat. Doesn't matter how much it is, you need to track it unless it's literally spray. And if you spray and spray, then you need to pay attention how much that is and track this. Okay, so now next thing I plan when I'm done with protein is carb. Okay, is fiber. And again, the goal of you consuming carb is not for you to be able to have sugar in any way. We want you to have what's in those vegetables or fruits or whatever you consume. We need you to have enough fiber. We need you to have enough minerals and nutrients. And we need you to chew. Chewing does a lot of work for your satiety, for your hormonal balance, for your teeth too, right? And it tells the body that you're actually eating. Your body cannot work as efficient or normal if you drink in your food or it's all soft, et cetera, et cetera. So we want you to chew your food as much as possible. And now I'm going to show what I do, what is within my macros, but you will get the idea, right? So I want to have ideally 3 types of fibrous vegetables that will be in my meal, 1 in each. So for example, and I might go over with carb or not, but it doesn't matter, you will see. So, and you will notice how much carb is in that. So if I'm adding lettuce, okay, doesn't matter which kind, by the way, for this purpose. But if I'm having a head of lettuce, which is a lot, who can have that? It's probably a pound or more. It's just 7 grams of sugar. I'm not sure if any one of you can or able to even try to have a head of lettuce. It's a huge thing, which has almost nothing in it for that purpose. So what I'm showing you is you need to eat a lot for you to even get to try to get close to your carb if you're not eating garbage.
And one way to do this more easily is to get yourself a salad chopper. So you still chew, you don't have to make it mushy, But those salad choppers that look like little scissors are such a great way to make a giant salad blended and look a lot less intimidating. And you also need a lot less dressing, because when you chop it, you're going to basically spread the dressing throughout the whole salad. And you can throw in 2 bags of romaine and you're going to feel like you barely ate enough. So that's a good little trick just to enable you to eat a lot more. You measure it before you put it in there, but that'll help you eat more of it.
Okay. Now, some of you will also say, I cannot eat that much. That's a lot of food. Because the volume of that, if you eat correctly, will be big. And some of you might not be even used to eat volumes of food. Don't confuse the size and the volume with calories and what's in it. The larger the food is, right? When we talk in non-processed food, it's usually the more nutritious and less caloric it will be. So don't be afraid of the size of those veggies or anything like this. By the way, I eat head of lettuce every morning before I sit to eat breakfast. This is my snack while I'm cooking, making eggs or whatever. Leaf by leaf. So I just added 4 ounces of lettuce, and it's literally 1 gram of carb. And for some people, it will be a lot of chewing, and it's nothing. So it's going to be work. Now, let's say lettuce is a snack. So I'm going to add some Brussels sprouts here. And I'm going to have 4 ounces, and you will see that that's slightly more carbohydrated. And I used half of mine, but you don't have those low macros. So you will have more. I can add some cauliflower here. Let's say 5 ounces, which is a lot. You will see when you try to eat if you didn't try. And I can add some broccoli here. And those are examples. So eat any fibrous green vegetables. Ask us if you're not sure. Just make sure that those are not potatoes or sweet potatoes or something like this. So again, if I have all of this, I went to 30 grams, so it's closer to what most of you will have. This is very large amount of food. Most people will have to get used to it. This is 5 ounce and 5 ounce and a lot of lettuce and Brussels sprouts. So
my suggestion from a GI perspective, when you're working your way up to this, cook it, soups, stews, roasted, because initially it's going to be a little bit harder to digest. You're not going to be used to all that fiber. The average American gets 9 grams of fiber a day when they're supposed to be getting 25 at least. So, you know, make it easier for yourself so you don't get a bellyache and think you can't do it. If you cook, it's amazing what you can throw in a soup or a stew or roast. And that cauliflower rice, I personally can eat a whole bag of that without getting a stomach ache. So you'll be able to do it. It's just going to take a little, you know, working your way up.
Okay, don't be afraid. And you can see that those vegetables that I put in here, I'm at 22 grams of fiber, give or take, with all that huge amount of that I will actually put in myself. So you do need to eat relatively not a small amount to get enough fiber. Okay, so now I did plan it. I added all my veggies here, and now I'm 10 grams of protein over, which I do not care about. This is 10 grams of protein. You cannot digest all the protein. So if you are slightly over protein only, not carb, not fat, you are fine. 10 grams of protein can be going in. And now I'm going to add fat. So remember, I did protein first. I added carb second. And now I'm going to complete the fat. And you really don't have to go all the way with all the fat that you can, but try to get as close like what you're supposed to, because otherwise you will be under eating. And short term, you will feel great and amazing. Long term, it's not going to be cool, and it will affect your long term weight loss if you undereat right from the bat. Okay? Because if it goes very fast first, then you just get stuck. And I can explain mechanisms afterwards down the road, but for that purpose, I want you to eat enough. And here you can add different things. First of all, I am having chicken breast and I'm having egg. I'm likely also having oil. And if you're cooking your veggies, maybe there is oil as well. So I'm going to have oil, and I'm going to have tablespoon of oil, 1 tablespoon, and I'm doing it on purpose. It jumped by 13 grams. I just added 1 tablespoon of oil. I'm already here. I'm going to add another one. Avocado oil. Again, I'm going to have, no, this is not 1 tablespoon of avocado oil. I'm almost done. My steak. It doesn't matter. I'm going to add another one, and I'm done. Okay. I couldn't have any more fat. I just added 3 tablespoons of good oil to my food, and I'm done. And for most people, it will be crazy or likely not enough in their perception, because they may be just pouring or putting like pieces of butter in the pan. Doesn't work. So you need to be really mindful on when you're adding fat. Not many of you will have more than 80 grams of fat here. And this is just an example that I'm showing you. I'm never using a tablespoon of fat in anything I'm cooking. What I'm using spray very lightly so things just don't get stuck. That's it. That's all. Okay, so instead of this, and this was just for the demonstration, so you don't use tablespoons of oil. Okay, or equivalent of that would be 15 grams of butter, which maybe is not suggested. I'm going to switch this to teaspoons. And of course, I need to adjust this. So I got rid of 2/3 of that. And you see, there's a lot of fat there. I lost 6 teaspoons on the way. I stuck with 3. And now, instead of using that liquid oil, which you will not see or feel any difference because it's liquid, put tablespoon or teaspoon in a salad, you will likely not know. Spread it on when you're cooking and you will not know at all. Now I can go ahead and say, hey, I want some healthy fat. Give me avocado. Real avocado, okay? And I will have, I don't know, 2 ounces of avocado here. And then I can play with this. I can add some more. I can have some avocado somewhere, but I can use that. So I'm not trying to get to all my fat. And typically I would have more avocado, right? So if I'm having 4 ounces, I'm good for a day. I'm done. I don't need more. Okay, avocado will be chewy. It will have fiber as well. It will bring you a lot of nutrients. And having avocado as a source of fat will be way better than having liquid oil in any way, satiety, nutrition, whatever you put. So do not try to, just like you not supposed to drink your food, don't drink your fat. Don't make it liquid unless it's needed for whatever reason, right? So when you're cooking, pay attention to how much is there, measure, and you will see that maybe you were using way more than this. And it's enough to go to a restaurant and they will give you just salad with olive oil in it, that with ingredients that are maybe 200-300 calories, and it will be 1,000 calorie salad just because of what they put in there in oil. And people just don't pay attention to this. If you're going on vacation and you have an omelet bar in the restaurant, in the hotel, and there's chef that just making omelets, they usually pour oil in there from bottles in huge amounts. No one is paying attention to that. That omelet can be 1,500 calories easily or more. They don't count, they don't care. All that oil is horrible, that it's not going to be some quality oil. And you will walk away saying, hey, I had a healthy omelet because I also put veggies in there and whatnot. But no, like you literally had your food for 3 days in that omelet maybe. Okay, so this is my spiel about how to plan the meal. You can obviously do the same on your app. If you open your phone, it will be the same, but vertical. In the training that I recorded previously, I also showed how I do it on the phone, but I do suggest you to watch that. There were things other than we discussed. And I'm going to stop sharing and see if you have any questions here.
Julian, can you just talk about the scale and maybe share the link on either chat or on the Facebook page?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, if you have a kitchen scale at home and you can put something very light on it, like a leaf of lettuce, and it will give you the weight, you're good. That's first of all. If you do not have kitchen scale, I'm going to give a link in the chat.
And maybe put it on the Facebook page too for people who aren't here tonight.
Yep. And find it. Okay, this is it. This is the one I use. It also comes with a really nice bowl. I'm going to share it. I'm going to share the screen again so you can see it. But that's basically scale. This one I have for like 7 years, still works. Change batteries a couple of times. Bowl is useful. And when you weigh in something, you can always zero. Like if you're making salad and you throw in some things, you can zero it here or tear. You see zero tear button with after every ingredient, and you will count from scratch. It will zero itself so you can know. And it works with any scale. Do they have share button? Not here. So I'll just put this link. And I'll put this in the chat, and then I will put it in the group. Okay, so don't be afraid to use a scale if you didn't use it before. Don't be ashamed to use a scale. Some people will be very against going anywhere with a scale. Do know that it might help you. You don't have to, but if you want to be sure, you can always have something like this. We have Dimitri in our group. He's using something like this. There's many. I have this. It's literally this scale. From 7 years ago when I started changing my diet, I still have several bags and each has that scale. I was traveling a lot and I would use that in restaurants and when I travel. I'm not saying you have to. If you feel like it, you will feel better with this, you can, and it will benefit you. Okay. I was deconstructing my meals in restaurants. Again, also taught me not to care about what people think, which is very useful. So for anyone who wants that, also good for measuring out anything small, you can, or things that are illegal. Okay. Anything I'm missing, Andrea?
Oh, we got it.
Okay, guys, questions? If anyone can still speak after all of this.
They look like deer in the headlights, everybody.
Shocking. Okay, so
I just say that was great. I mean, thank you. And especially if you did a little extra for me since I didn't hit the video yet. I get it. I was going to ask about sizes. I just ordered the bowl. It'll be here tomorrow. So I thought it was very helpful, and I'll have more questions next time.
Perfect. And specifically for that, no one should wait till next time. Have a question, you ask in the group. Do not wait, because if you're waiting with something for a week, you lost a week that you could be efficient. And if anyone maybe not feeling well or have some stomach issues or headaches or whatever, anyone is feeling off, you write in the group right away. You're telling us, hey, I woke up and I don't know, I'm dehydrated. I'm having headaches. I have soft stool. I do not care. Put it in the question section and we will help you with overcoming this. Okay, this is very important. Do not wait. Do not hide in the corner. Do not think, oh, like it just coincidental. Just ask. Maybe it's unrelated, but ask anyway.
Got it. Well, while you're at it, I was intrigued by you eating lettuce, a head of lettuce before your breakfast. That kind of blew my mind. But I think it was Elaine who had the questions about the shake. So I do get it. The shake, right? I got that. Don't drink your protein or
calories.
Your fat for that matter. Your calories. So the shake is supplemental. Do you see maybe like a shake plus a couple eggs? Like what do you do after you eat your lettuce? If I may. Yeah. I'm just, or maybe I shouldn't ask what you do, but I'm just intrigued.
I'm a little more normal. You should always ask.
There you go. As it sounded like Elaine was getting, I get that. I think I see that. It sounded like Elaine was getting like reduced on the shake, and I do get it. You don't want to drink your calories, but like getting started is a mix of like shake, eggs, turkey bacon, get your fiber with, I don't know. Does that sound pretty good? And then my last question would be oatmeal. Is oatmeal considered a fiber? No, that's a no-go, because even if it's gluten-free,
you're going to kill your carbs. Your macros are going to go over, and then you're not going to get of the vegetable carbs. Those are really, you play with it. When something you think about, even if we say you can't eat it, just see why. Put it into the chronometer, and when you see what happens to your macros, and I think I'm not totally averse to a shake, because sometimes you don't have a lot of time, and I'd rather you get the protein that way. But I find if you're doing one scoop, it doesn't hurt to add, a couple of slices of turkey or chicken. And I know that sounds really weird now, but it's really weird to eat an oily croissant with a cup of coffee for breakfast. I mean, if you want to define weird, I mean, weird is unhealthy. So being healthy shouldn't be weird. It's just stuff you're not used to yet. But after a couple of weeks of this, it's going to be normal for you. And when you're hitting your macros, you're going to be really excited, because you'll be like, wow, look, this did it. And you'll eat that, and I guarantee you'll feel better. There may be some bumps in the road. We have some things we do with, making sure people are getting their electrolytes. That's why Julian wants you to ask, because we had like 3 people last time, right, who were getting headaches, and then we just upped their electrolytes and they instantly felt better. So, don't wait. And chances are, if you're not feeling well, someone else who's being shy is also having something similar. So we want to nip that in the bud right away. And we're very receptive. I mean, the people in the group will tell you, if you ask a question, we're getting right back to you very quickly. So
Great.
you won't have to wait.
All right. I'll ask. I went without my cup of coffee to do the
In-body.
the in-body. Thank you. 1 cup of French press organic coffee. Are we saying no go on coffee? I don't put any cream in it. I don't put anything in it.
I'm fine with that. Julian, you're fine with that, right?
Oh,
Sure.
okay. Good.
Yeah,
All right, great.
That's probably
Just
where
wanted to
most
check.
Americans get their most antioxidants. The coffee can be a healthy food. It's got chlorogenic acid, good for your cholesterol, but by the time you put it through a cure, through plastic, and if it's not organic, it can have mold, it can have pesticides, and then you add sugar and milk, you've created a disaster. But there's ways to make it healthy versus to destroy it. So we're okay with that.
Great. I'm looking forward to watching the video. Thanks so much. That was a lot, Julian, but I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I love it, and when it helps, it's great. Now, coffee-wise, if anyone doesn't sleep well and drinks coffee, talk to me.
Yeah.
Because coffee is the thing that doesn't make you feel good, and it kills your sleep. Okay, so it should be limited to very short period in the morning, small amount. So that's a very powerful thing that can destroy you literally. I don't drink caffeine almost ever, except before workout early in the morning, and that changed my life. So that's one thing, but it's a good thing. So it just has time and place. And don't add eggs to the shake. Eat them separately. In addition to this, something that I did miss, when you tracking food in chronometer, you will be tempted to use not grams or ounces. You will be tempted to use slices, pieces, whatever. Servings, do not do this, or cups or spoons, unless it's liquid, right? Like if it's teaspoon of olive oil, it's a teaspoon of olive oil, it's okay. If it's a cup of broccoli, it's not a cup of broccoli. You have no idea what's in a cup of broccoli. You can pack it, you can cut it, it doesn't matter. Even protein powder, you cannot trust scoop of protein, because it can be little more, little less. You want to have that amount, and like anything, you can tuck it in and suddenly you have more space. So go by weight, don't go by whatever, right? When you're used to that, right, you know that your scoop, the way you put it, is this amount of weight, then you can do this, then you have experience. But for example, many people say, I ate an avocado. It can be like this, can be like that. Like it doesn't say anything, and you can't even decide if it's a small, medium, or large most of the time, because there's always larger, or like maybe you'll find it. So don't use like those measures. It's important. Okay, I think I'm done for today. I'm going to put recording of this in the group as well. And I'm going to put those links in the group as well. And again, remember, any question, any problem, you post it in the group. And if you are not in the group yet, please use the link that I posted in the beginning and go to the group.
And one thing I just want to say, you've signed up for a month or 2 months. This is your time for self-care. So really try not to let life get too much in the way of this. Really do this for yourselves. Because what I noticed is the people who were in this, who really paid attention and devoted the time, and just, it made a huge difference in their lives. And go on the Facebook page and catch up if you're behind. Don't say, I'll do it over the weekend, I'm going to put it off. Do it now, because you don't want to miss any of this. Take advantage of the time, take advantage of the help, and, pamper yourself a little. You're all in this, because you want to take better care of yourself. So don't put it off. Let's really get started right away. And the more you dig in, I think the easier it's going to be to build the momentum where you're just going to want to be, we had people so engaged on the Facebook page, but it was like the same few people, and they were the ones who did amazing. And the ones who, stopped filling out the chronometer or just kind of fell off, it's not the program, it's how much you put into this program. So, be selfish a little bit this month. Take care of yourself and, make this your priority. I think you'll notice a difference.
Yep. And I actually want to add to this that it doesn't matter if it's boring. It doesn't matter if it's hard. It's not really hard. Right? You are telling the story to yourself. And I think that anyone who says it's hard did way harder things in life without even thinking about it, because they just, had no choice. And also, it's not hard. Even you telling this story to yourself. If you decide it's hard, it's not. It just logging food and eating food. You're eating food anyway. Right? So changing it a little up, it doesn't matter. And I saw a nice phrase today, and I'm trying to find it, but basically it talks about longevity and what you need to do for better living. And it says that the fountain of life is very boring, right? So whatever you're doing for your health and longevity and health span, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be most of the time, right? It's not going to be anything of that sort. So you're not looking for fun here. You're looking to improve your life. And look at this as a process. You didn't learn anything in your life that benefited you long term, that was fun and very, easy, or whatever you look at. That didn't happen. Not your studies, not, having children, not improving in anything, not learning to drive. None of that can be fun. But it will be fun if you continue doing this. You will enjoy it. And the results will be there. And sometimes people say, I don't have time for that. I was too busy. I didn't this. There's no way. Okay? There's no person who doesn't have time to eat right. Okay? It just doesn't exist. And if you don't have time, I will have a session with you and I will go over your schedule, and you will see that you have several hours a day that you have. And it doesn't need an hour a day. So any difficulties with mindset, let me know as well. I don't think there will be. Maybe not after this. Okay? It's not hard and you will feel great. And you won't want to stop. And I was 90 pounds more 7 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't need to be fun. You're not there for that. And don't let it be one of those, I don't know, things that you sign up for and paid money and didn't do it.
True.
Okay. And some people are with us, they've been for a month and they're going to be for another 3 months because they saw the benefit. So you're signing up for a month. What I'm saying ahead of time now, that if you decide that you're done after 1 month, make sure that you continue doing this after, that you're taking whatever you learned here with you, that you're not looking at anything that we do here as this is a 1 month thing, because it will change my life in 1 month and then I can go back to what I was doing. It's not going to happen. The second you having something that makes things better for you, it goes away the second you go back, right? If something was doing good things to you, you switch back, you go in reverse, and you reverse all of that. So someone brought up a question. I think that person is not here, but if you will be listening to the recording, if you eat something and you remove it, and then I think it was, how soon can I bring honey back or something like this? It's not going to be anything good, right? If you were eating too much honey and you added calories from that, you go back to that and you will get back to wherever you were trying to get rid of. Okay, you start eating more, you will gain weight as well. You start eating foods that were not good for you, you will feel not good. And by the way, right, even with honey, after a month of not eating honey or not having any of those foods, you will have a tablespoon of honey and you will feel probably like crap. And there's a reason for that. When you detox from something, then introducing the toxin will have very tough effect on you. It's same with alcohol, right? I was drinking every day, all the time. If I have a little bit right now, I presume I will be on the floor, right? Because then you lose the resistance and you start feeling it. It acts the same way, but if you have a lot of poison all the time, you just don't feel it. You're adjusted. That's it. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Thank you so much. It's been great. And
Good night, everyone.
We'll see you in the group.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, both of you.
Thank you.
Bless you
Thank you.
guys.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Night.
Take care. Thanks so much.